There is a doorway hidden in plain sight, not made of stone or wood, but of energy, an ancient portal that few recognize, yet all have the power to enter. This audiobook unveils the universal key, the ancient secret that transforms manifestation from struggle to flow, from effort to effortless creation. The Hidden Portal. Introduction. You have been told that reality is solid, that life unfolds through effort, and that desires must be pursued. But what if none of this was true? What if manifestation was never about chasing, but about stepping through a hidden portal, one that allows reality to shape itself around you, effortlessly? For centuries, ancient civilizations, mystics, and awakened minds have understood that creation does not happen through force. It happens through alignment with unseen laws. These are the ancient keys that unlock the hidden mechanisms of reality, the same forces that govern the flow of energy, time, and possibility. You have searched for answers, tried techniques, repeated affirmations. But the greatest truth has always been hidden, waiting for you to see it. The universe does not respond to struggle. It does not obey force. It moves in perfect rhythm with those who understand its silent language. This journey is not about learning something new. It is about remembering what has always been within you. The portal is already open. The only question is, are you ready to step through? If yes, then type "I am ready" in the comments to send a signal to the universe. And don't forget, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to become one of the first 1,000 aligned souls on this journey. Because once you do, nothing will ever be the same again. Chapter 1. Entering the Hidden Portal. The lost science of effortless creation reality is not as solid or singular as it seems. It is a multi-layered construct woven from different planes of existence that function simultaneously. Most people navigate life only through the physical layer, where experiences are tangible and governed by cause and effect. However, beneath this visible world lies the mental and etheric layers, where thoughts take form before becoming reality. The mental layer is where beliefs, emotions, and expectations shape perception, influencing what manifests in the physical world. The etheric layer, often overlooked, is the unseen field of energy that connects all things. It is the blueprint of existence, the space where the raw material of creation exists before taking physical form. Those who remain trapped in the physical layer struggle to manifest because they rely solely on effort and external action. But those who understand and interact with the deeper layers of reality step into a realm where manifestation becomes natural and effortless. Throughout history, sacred sites and mystical traditions have pointed to energetic access points, specific locations where the boundary between these layers is thinner, allowing greater influence over the unseen forces that shape reality. These access points are not random. They follow patterns found in sacred geometry, ley lines, and vibrational hotspots. Ancient civilizations built pyramids, temples, and monuments on these power spots, harnessing their energy to align with cosmic forces. Even today, there are places in nature where energy flows more freely, where intuition sharpens, and where manifestation accelerates. Learning to recognize these spaces, whether through a shift in sensation, a tingling awareness, or a feeling of heightened clarity, can amplify one's ability to interact with the hidden portal of effortless creation. But access is not limited to physical locations. One's own energy field can be tuned to become a living portal, allowing manifestation to happen from anywhere. The key to stepping through this portal lies in perceptual fluidity, the ability to expand awareness beyond rigid mental structures that limit how reality is experienced. Most people view the world through filters shaped by societal conditioning, past experiences, and limiting beliefs. These mental programs create fixed perceptions, reinforcing the illusion of separation between self and creation. However, when perception becomes fluid, reality shifts accordingly. Simple practices such as closing the eyes and imagining space expanding beyond the body, shifting perspectives during meditation, or practicing open-ended questions instead of fixed statements can begin dissolving these rigid structures. The more flexible one's perception becomes, the more easily they can access the hidden portal, where thought and reality merge effortlessly. At the core of this process is the harmonic resonance principle, the understanding that reality responds to specific frequencies of thought, emotion, and sound. Every thought and feeling carries a vibrational signature, influencing the energetic layers of existence. When this frequency aligns with the hidden portal, manifestation becomes instantaneous. This is why certain sounds, chants, and ancient symbols have been used across civilizations to alter consciousness and open doorways to higher realms. Sound, in particular, acts as a carrier wave for intention, shaping the invisible field of creation. By consciously shifting internal states, choosing gratitude, love, and clarity over doubt, fear, and confusion, one begins to emit a frequency that matches the harmonic key of effortless creation. To activate this process, one must synchronize personal energy with the hidden portal through a guided technique designed to align the physical, mental, and etheric layers. This involves focusing on breath, fetch, intention, and subtle energy movements to create an internal shift. By quieting the mind, sensing the flow of energy around and within, and allowing awareness to expand beyond ordinary perception, the body becomes an open conduit for higher frequencies. The portal is not something outside of oneself. It is a state of being, a vibrational alignment that allows the effortless flow of manifestation to unfold. Chapter 2, the primeval law, tapping into the original creative force. Before anything takes shape in the physical world, it exists in a state of pure potential, an undefined energetic field that has yet to be influenced or given form. This is the pre-vibrational state of manifestation, where reality remains fluid and unshaped. Many struggle to manifest because they focus too much on the outcome, trying to force something into existence after it has already solidified into resistance. However, true creation begins before vibration, before thought, before structure. At this level, all possibilities exist at once, waiting for conscious interaction. The ancients understood that by working with this pre-formed state, rather than against it, one could gently guide energy into form without resistance. This is not done through force or willpower, but through subtle influence, much like shaping water with the lightest touch before it turns to ice. Early mystery schools and esoteric traditions developed methods for condensing raw energy into tangible form long before modern manifestation techniques existed. This process, known as thought form condensation, relied on the principle that energy, when concentrated with intention and focus, naturally begins to take shape. Instead of merely visualizing an outcome, initiates were trained to interact with energy as if molding clay, compressing and refining it into a state where it would eventually become matter. They understood that thoughts are not passive. They are active forces that, when properly structured and imbued with emotional charge, gain density in the unseen realm, This practice has been referenced across ancient traditions, from Tibetan tulpas to Egyptian Kemetic thought forms, where priests and mystics created energetic constructs that would later materialize in the physical world. Learning to focus without strain, to hold an image while allowing it to breathe and evolve, is the key to shaping energy without disrupting its flow. Beyond individual creation, every thought and desire connects to archetypal templates that have existed for eons, forming a vast morphic resonance field. These fields act as memory imprints, shaping how energy organizes itself. Just as a species of birds instinctively knows how to build a nest without being taught, human consciousness is also wired into patterns of creation that have been reinforced through generations. The moment a person desires something, a home, success, love, or enlightenment, they are not creating something entirely new. Instead, they are tapping into an energetic blueprint that has already been formed through the collective experiences of countless others. By attuning to these archetypal patterns, one can accelerate manifestation by stepping into a well-established energetic pathway rather than trying to carve one from scratch. This is why certain symbols, rituals, and even specific words or mantras hold power. They connect the individual's intent to a greater energetic structure, reinforcing and amplifying it. One of the most overlooked yet powerful methods of manifestation is absorption, the process of merging with what one seeks, rather than trying to force it into existence. Most people approach manifestation as a process of projecting their desires outward, attempting to send energy towards something external. However, ancient traditions understood that the fastest way to manifest is to become one with the desired state or object, absorbing its essence rather than chasing it. Just as a tuning fork placed next to another will begin to vibrate at the same frequency, the human energy field begins to resonate with the qualities of the desired reality when one immerses in its essence. This can be done through deep contemplation, visualization that emphasizes feeling over seeing, and even the deliberate act of behaving as if one is already merged with the desired reality. Instead of trying to attract something, the goal is to dissolve the boundary between self and desire, making it indistinguishable from one's own being. To fully synchronize with the original creative force, resistance must first be dissolved. Resistance is not just doubt or fear. It is any internal friction that separates the individual from the effortless flow of creation. The field synchronization method provides a structured way to clear these blocks and align with the fundamental forces of reality. The first step is to become deeply aware of the energetic field around and within, recognizing how thoughts and emotions subtly influence it. Instead of forcing a desire into existence, one must learn to match the frequency of its pre-existing field, allowing the energy to flow unimpeded. This is done through a combination of breath control, subtle mental shifts, and precise energetic attunement, where the individual's vibration begins to naturally synchronize with the underlying currents of creation. When alignment is achieved, manifestation ceases to be an effort-driven process and becomes as natural as breath, effortless, immediate, and inevitable. Chapter 3. The Reality Veil. How to see beyond the illusion reality is not as fixed or absolute as it appears. What people call the real world is, in truth, a projection shaped by perception. And perception itself is conditioned by layers of mental programs absorbed over time. From birth, individuals are taught how to see, what to believe, and where the limits of possibility lie. These hidden perceptual filters dictate what can and cannot be experienced, acting as an invisible framework that locks people into a narrow bandwidth of reality. They are reinforced by culture, education, and societal norms, ensuring that the deeper, more fluid nature of existence remains unseen. A person born into a world that constantly reinforces struggle will unconsciously filter out opportunities for effortless creation, while someone raised in an environment that fosters possibility will naturally align with abundance. Recognizing these mental programs is the first step to dissolving them. By questioning assumptions, observing automatic thoughts, and becoming aware of how perception has been shaped, one begins to loosen the rigid structures that keep reality appearing fixed. The more these filters are dismantled, the more the true, malleable nature of existence becomes visible. One of the fastest ways to break free from conditioned perception is by altering sensory inputs. People rely on habitual patterns of seeing, hearing, touching, and interpreting their surroundings, reinforcing a repetitive version of reality. By shifting these inputs, whether through focused awareness, exposure to new environments, or deliberate sensory deprivation, one can begin accessing deeper, subtler dimensions of reality. Ancient traditions use techniques like staring into flames, listening to repetitive drumming, or fasting to disrupt normal sensory patterns, allowing the mind to expand beyond its usual constraints. Even simple practices like closing the eyes and focusing on the space around the body rather than on objects can create a shift in awareness. The world is not as it appears at face value. The deeper layers of existence reveal themselves when one stops interacting with reality in predictable ways. With practice, perception begins to stretch beyond the physical senses, revealing a fluid, energetic field rather than a static, material world. At a more advanced level, this leads to quantum perception training, the ability to see time, objects, and events as vibrational constructs rather than fixed entities. Everything that appears solid is, at its core, energy vibrating at different frequencies. Time itself is not linear, but is experienced that way because of habitual perception. When one begins to perceive events as existing in a quantum state, rather than as fixed moments locked in the past or future, the ability to influence reality expands. Objects that seem inert can be experienced as vibrating fields of potential. Events that seem unchangeable can be reshaped by adjusting their underlying energetic patterns. Those who train their perception in this way begin to notice subtle distortions, moments where time stretches or contracts, where objects appear to flicker at the edges, or where thoughts influence external reality with increasing speed. These are signs that the mind is piercing the illusion of solidity, stepping closer to direct interaction with the hidden mechanics of creation. However, no matter how much personal perception expands, the weight of collective belief systems still acts as a powerful anchor, pulling individuals back into a consensus version of reality. Society operates within an agreed-upon framework, a shared dream in which certain rules are followed unconsciously. This is why even those who glimpse deeper truths often find themselves returning to old patterns, as if under a spell. Breaking free requires disconnecting from the collective illusion, not by rejecting it outright, but by no longer being bound by its limitations. This can be done through specific techniques that weaken the energetic pull of consensus reality, such as mentally labeling it as a projection, engaging in symbolic actions that break normal patterns, or spending time in altered states of awareness. By gradually withdrawing energy from these shared limitations, one begins to exist in a space where new possibilities emerge effortlessly, untouched by collective doubt. To fully integrate these shifts, one must experience firsthand the moment of transition where the unseen becomes seen, where a shift in perception directly alters reality. The portal awareness exercise allows for this direct experience, creating a state of heightened sensitivity where the exact moment of manifestation can be felt. When something moves from potential into form, it does not do so randomly. There is a threshold, a doorway, where energy crystallizes into experience. By training the mind to recognize this moment, manifestation becomes a conscious act rather than an unconscious process. This exercise is not about forcing change, but about becoming so attuned to reality's subtle movements that the transition from thought to form becomes undeniable. Once this is perceived clearly, the ability to shape reality is no longer theoretical. It is an experiential truth that forever transforms how one interacts with existence. Chapter 4. Manifesting from the Void. The power of nothingness. Most people believe manifestation requires action, effort, and constant visualization. But true creation does not happen through force. It happens through presence. The non-doing principle is the secret behind the effortless manifestation of enlightened beings, mystics, and those who seem to attract miracles without struggle. When the mind is constantly reaching, chasing, and pushing, it sends a signal of lack into the field of creation. This very effort becomes the barrier to manifestation because it affirms that what is desired is separate, distant, and unavailable. However, when one shifts from effort-based creation to presence-based creation, manifestation happens instantly, without resistance. Non-doing does not mean inactivity. Rather, it means aligning so completely with the state of having that no struggle remains. In this state, desires are no longer something to be attained. They are realities that naturally unfold. The moment striving stops, reality begins to move toward instead of away from you. This effortless state arises when one learns to enter the void space, the field of pure potential that exists before anything takes shape. The void is not emptiness, as in lack, but emptiness as in limitless possibility. It is the state before thoughts arise, before definitions solidify, before anything is labeled as real or not real. Most people are uncomfortable with this space because the mind craves structure and certainty. Yet within the void there are no limitations, only the raw fabric of existence waiting to be directed. Ancient teachings describe this state as the womb of creation, the place from which everything emerges and to which everything returns. Training the mind to rest in this space without seeking, without asking, without needing, is one of the most powerful ways to accelerate manifestation. The moment one accesses this pre-existence state, reality becomes fluid, and shaping it requires no more effort than a ripple forming on the surface of still water. Yet even when people attempt to manifest, they unknowingly delay their desires because of emotional attachment. The greater the attachment to an outcome, the stronger the energetic resistance it creates. This is why the power of neutralization is essential. When someone desires something intensely, they may believe they are drawing it toward them, but in reality, they are creating friction between themselves and the manifestation. This friction comes from fear. Fear of not getting it, fear of waiting too long, fear of losing it. Instead of attracting, they repel. The solution is not to suppress desire, but to neutralize the emotional charge around it. This means entering a state of pure non-resistance, where one is neither grasping for an outcome nor rejecting its absence. In this state, the energy becomes clear, movement becomes effortless, and what was once difficult to attain falls into place without obstruction. A powerful way to enter this state is by aligning with the frequency of already done. Instead of longing for something to happen, one must become the version of themselves that has already manifested it. This is not pretending or wishful thinking. It is a deep cellular level shift where the internal state aligns so completely with the fulfilled reality that external conditions have no choice but to rearrange accordingly. The mind and body must be trained to feel, act, and exist as if the desire is already realized. This is beyond belief. It is embodiment. When a person fully merges with the future version of themselves, the timeline collapses and manifestation moves from possibility into inevitability. There is no need to force anything because reality must reflect the internal state. One of the most direct ways to experience this is through the zero-point field meditation, a guided process designed to dissolve the boundaries of self and connect directly with the source of all creation. The zero-point field is the ground state of existence, where all things exist in a state of pure potential before they take shape. When one enters this space, personal limitations dissolve, and there is no separation between the self and the field of creation. In this state, manifestation does not feel like bringing something into reality. It feels like selecting from an infinite number of already existing possibilities. The illusion of effort disappears, and one realizes that everything sought has been present all along, waiting for alignment. Once a person learns to access this state at will, reality becomes an open canvas where the only limitation is the depth of one's ability to surrender into the infinite. Chapter 5. The Time Collapse Technique. Why instant manifestation is possible. Time is not what it seems. Most people view it as a straight line, moving predictably from past to present to future. But this is an illusion of perception rather than a fundamental truth. Ancient seers, mystics, and even modern quantum physicists have long suggested that time is not linear but layered, fluid, and multidimensional. It bends, loops, and folds upon itself, creating endless probabilities that exist simultaneously. What people perceive as now is merely a narrow sliver of awareness, filtering out the vast field of possible realities that already exist. The past does not create the future. Both arise from a deeper, more fundamental reality where all moments coexist. This is why instant manifestation is possible. If time were truly linear, change would always be slow and gradual. But because time is a construct of perception, it can be collapsed, rearranged, and bypassed entirely, allowing shifts to happen in ways that defy conventional understanding. One of the most advanced manifestation techniques relies on retro-causal influence, the principle that the future can shape the present just as much as the present shapes the future. This idea, once considered mystical, is now supported by experiments in quantum physics, where the outcome of an event appears to be determined after it has already happened. This means that the version of yourself who has already manifested your desire is not just a possibility, it is an active force capable of influencing your reality right now. By directing awareness toward the future version of yourself who has already succeeded, you create an energetic pull that alters present circumstances to align with that outcome. Instead of struggling to change the present in hopes of a better future, you allow the already existing future to imprint itself onto the now, accelerating manifestation without effort. The shift occurs the moment you accept that the future is not something you move toward, but something that moves toward you when alignment is achieved. This is further enhanced by dimensional stacking, a technique used to overlay higher dimensional realities onto your current experience. Every potential version of reality already exists in a higher dimensional framework, waiting to be accessed. When people struggle to manifest, it is usually because they are locked into a single layer of perception, unaware that a more optimal reality is just outside their current frequency range. By consciously shifting attention to a parallel version of reality where the desired outcome is already in place, it becomes easier to bring that version into materialization. This process is not about forcing change, but selecting an already existing timeline and allowing it to replace the one currently experienced. Just as tuning a radio to a different frequency brings in a new station, shifting awareness to a higher dimensional version of reality allows for a complete transformation without struggle. Even though these shifts can be effortless, certain future events carry momentum. They are already in motion and, unless altered, will unfold in a predictable way. This is where the event interference method becomes essential. Not all timelines are desirable, and if left unchecked, undesirable future outcomes may solidify into reality. However, because the future is not fixed, these events can be neutralized before they fully manifest. This technique involves identifying the energetic signature of an unwanted future outcome and dismantling it at the source. Every event has a frequency, and by disrupting the energetic pattern before it fully takes form, the event itself collapses, never needing to be experienced. This can be done through mental redirection, vibrational shifting, or even symbolic actions that sever the timeline connection. Those who master this technique often find that problems that seemed inevitable simply vanish as if they were never part of reality in the first place. To integrate all of these principles into direct experience, one of the most effective practices is the quantum entanglement meditation, a method that links the present self with the successful future self and merges their realities. Just as particles at opposite ends of the universe can be entangled, instantly affecting one another regardless of distance, the same principle applies to different versions of the self across timelines. The version of you who has already achieved what you seek is not separate from you. It is an extension of your own consciousness, existing at a different point in probability space. Through deep focus and intention, you can establish a connection with this future self, allowing their frequency, knowledge, and reality to imprint upon you. When the entanglement is strong enough, the distinction between present and future dissolves, and the desired manifestation becomes the new present reality. Those who experience this shift often describe it as a sudden and undeniable knowing, a feeling that the outcome is no longer a matter of if, but when, and that when is already here. Once this state is reached, reality can no longer remain the same, as the future has already arrived. Chapter 6. The Breath of the Divine. Activating manifestation with life force. Manifestation is not just a process of thinking or visualizing, it is an energetic transmission. Many believe that if they think about something long enough, it will come into existence. But thought alone is like a blueprint without a builder. It lacks the power to bring an idea into form. The missing link is breath, the force that moves energy from the unseen into the seen. Breath is not just a function of the body. It is the bridge between mind and matter, between thought and reality. Every inhale draws in life force, and every exhale releases stagnant energy that prevents manifestation. When breath is consciously directed, it becomes a tool for sculpting reality, charging desires with the magnetic pull of creation. Without this energetic activation, thoughts remain weightless. They lack the momentum to solidify into experience. But when infused with life force, they gain density, moving from idea to embodiment. This is the foundation of the pranic manifestation circuit, an ancient understanding of how breath directs energy into the etheric plane, the layer of reality where all manifestations begin. Every thought, every desire, every intention first takes form in this unseen space before crystallizing into the physical world. But to move from the intangible to the tangible, an energy charge is needed. Breath is the power source that fuels this process. Just as an electric current activates a dormant circuit, prana, the life force carried by breath, activates manifestations by embedding them into the energetic field. The stronger the charge, the faster the manifestation. This is why those who unknowingly suppress their breath through stress, fear, or unconscious habits often struggle to bring desires into reality. Their energetic flow is weak, their manifestations slow. But when one learns to breathe with intention, the entire process accelerates. One of the ways to harness this power is through breath rhythm induction, a method of using specific breathing patterns to enter deep, receptive states of consciousness. The mind operates on various frequencies, much like a radio tuning into different stations. When breath is shallow and erratic, the mind stays trapped in high-frequency beta waves associated with overthinking, doubt, and resistance. But when breath is deep, rhythmic, and intentional, it shifts the brain into alpha and theta states, where the subconscious becomes accessible and manifestation happens with ease. This is the state where reality bends, where time dissolves, and where thoughts begin to shape experience without obstruction. Ancient sages used breath control not just for meditation, but as a direct means of aligning with the frequency of creation itself. When breath moves in harmony with desire, manifestation becomes a natural unfolding rather than a forced pursuit. Beyond shifting brain waves, breath also expands the electromagnetic field of the body, a process known as resonance expansion. Every person emits an energy field, an invisible aura that interacts with the quantum fabric of reality. The stronger and more coherent this field, the more influence it has over external conditions. Breath acts as the amplifier of this field. When one breathes with full awareness, the aura expands, becoming a magnetic force that pulls desired outcomes closer. This is why those who radiate confidence, certainty, and inner stillness often seem to attract success effortlessly. Their energy field is strong, unwavering, and commands reality to conform to their internal state. Through specific breathing techniques, one can charge the aura with intention, making it a living beacon that signals the universe to rearrange circumstances in perfect alignment. To take this process to its highest level, the golden breath technique is used, a method designed to saturate desires with life force, creating near instantaneous manifestations. This technique involves visualizing golden light, symbolic of divine creative energy, being drawn in with each inhale, circulating through the body, and then being exhaled into the external world, carrying the encoded intention of the desired outcome. When done correctly, this breath technique embeds the manifestation into the energetic field so deeply that reality has no choice but to reflect it. Those who practice it consistently report sudden shifts, synchronicities, and effortless realizations of their desires. The breath, when properly directed, does not just support manifestation. It becomes the manifestation itself, dissolving all barriers between the seen and the unseen, the thought and the form, the dream and the reality. Chapter 7. The Sacred Exchange, Giving to Reality. Before it gives to you, manifestation is not a one-way process. It is not simply about asking and receiving, but about establishing a sacred exchange with reality. Everything in existence operates on a balance of energy. Before anything materializes in the physical world, an energetic transaction must occur. Something must be given before something can be received. This is the universal principle of offering, an ancient law recognized by sages, mystics, and esoteric schools throughout history. The universe does not withhold what you seek, but it responds to the energy you contribute. Those who approach manifestation from a state of wanting or taking often find themselves in a cycle of stagnation because they have not yet offered anything to shift their reality. True creation requires an investment of energy, a deliberate act of giving that sets the foundation for receiving. Ancient traditions understood this deeply, which is why rituals, sigils, and consecration techniques were commonly used to bind energy into reality. These practices were not superstitions. They were designed to encode the subconscious mind with unwavering certainty. When someone performs a ritual, whether through words, symbols, or sacred acts, they are making a declaration to the unseen realms. This creates an energetic seal, a binding agreement between the individual and the quantum field that ensures the manifestation will unfold. The act of consecration, whether it is dedicating an object, an action, or even a space, imprints reality with intent. Just as a contract in the material world ensures an exchange of goods or services, these energetic contracts ensure an exchange between thought and form. Without this binding force, desires remain loose, floating possibilities rather than inevitable outcomes. One of the most powerful ways to apply this principle is through the future payment technique, a method where you act as if your manifestation has already been given, thereby forcing reality to comply. This does not mean pretending or wishful thinking, but rather embodying the state of already having received. When someone gives before receiving, whether through action, mindset, or contribution, they shift their energetic signature to one of fulfillment rather than lack. Imagine someone seeking financial abundance. Instead of waiting for money to arrive before acting generously, they begin giving from their current capacity. This preemptive action signals to reality that they are already abundant. And because the universe operates on reflection, the physical world must adjust to match this state. The same principle applies to relationships, opportunities, and success. By stepping into the identity of one who already possesses what they desire, reality reshapes itself to maintain coherence with that identity. A deeper layer of this concept is the tithing of energy, which extends beyond material giving and into a state of being. Those who operate from a mindset of overflowing abundance naturally magnetize success because their energy field radiates sufficiency rather than scarcity. This is why those who hoard, fear losing, or wait for external validation often struggle to manifest, they are signaling to reality that they lack, and reality mirrors this back. Tithing in this sense is not just about donating money or resources, but about living in a constant state of offering time, presence, knowledge, and goodwill. The more one pours out, the more flows back in. The universe functions like a vast echo chamber, amplifying whatever is projected into it. Those who give effortlessly, without attachment or expectation, find that life itself becomes effortless, as synchronicities, opportunities, and wealth begin flowing toward them in unexpected ways. To make this process undeniable and irreversible, the energetic commitment ritual can be used, a method of signing an agreement with reality that locks in manifestations permanently. This is not about hoping or waiting, but about sealing intent with action. Just as a physical contract ensures follow-through, this ritual serves as an unbreakable bond between thought and reality. This can be done through a symbolic gesture, such as writing a letter to oneself in the future, creating a dedicated space or object that represents the manifestation, or performing a deliberate act that signifies completion. The key is finality. When the subconscious registers the act as absolute, doubt dissolves, and the manifestation is locked into the energetic structure of reality. Those who engage with this level of certainty often experience manifestations that seem to unfold with supernatural precision, as if reality itself has no choice but to align. Chapter 8. Becoming the Portal. How to stay in a perpetual flow of creation manifestation is often seen as a process, an act of bringing something from the unseen into the seen. But at the highest level, there is no longer a sense of separation between the one who manifests and the thing being manifested. The idea of manifesting itself dissolves because everything flows effortlessly, without need for deliberate effort or intention. This is the true goal: to dissolve the identity of the manifester self entirely. When you no longer see yourself as someone who is trying to create, but instead as the source through which creation happens, there is no longer any resistance, delay, or struggle. Reality begins to move through you, rather than being something you attempt to control. This is the state in which desires are no longer separate from you. They simply unfold as natural extensions of your existence. At this level, you become a living conduit for universal intelligence, tapping into an infinite field of wisdom, ideas, and synchronicity. The universe is not something outside of you that grants or withholds. It is an ongoing flow of creation that you are an intrinsic part of. When the mind quiets and personal identity dissolves, the deeper intelligence of the cosmos begins to express itself through you, guiding you toward experiences, people, and opportunities with absolute precision. Those who master this state report that insights arrive at the exact moment they are needed. Doors open without effort, and life itself becomes an unfolding of perfect timing. The difference between ordinary manifestation and this level of alignment is the difference between pushing a river and becoming the river itself. Instead of chasing, attracting, or manipulating reality, you allow it to flow through your being without interference. To sustain this state, one must train the body and mind to enter perpetual flow, where existence itself becomes an effortless unfolding of synchronicity. This requires refining your energetic field so that it remains hyper-attuned to the subtle currents of reality. Just as a musician learns to tune their instrument so that it produces perfect sound, you must tune your inner frequency so that life continuously reflects your highest potential. This is not about discipline or rigid practice, but about cultivating an unshakable state of presence, where every action arises spontaneously and effortlessly. Those who master this flow state find that their work, relationships, and creative expressions happen with an ease that others describe as supernatural. They no longer try to achieve anything. Everything moves through them in perfect harmony. One of the greatest obstacles to this state is attachment to past manifestations. Many people believe that once they have successfully manifested something, they must hold on to it, protect it, or ensure its permanence. But this is an illusion. The moment you cling to what has already been created, you disrupt the flow of new manifestations from arriving. Reality is a constant stream of change, and trying to grasp onto past creations is like trying to hold on to water. It slips through your fingers. The key is to remain in a state of openness, never allowing what has already manifested to become a limitation. The greatest masters of reality creation do not accumulate. They allow everything to pass through them, trusting that the next unfolding will always be greater than the last. This is the difference between those who manifest sporadically and those who live in continuous creation. To fully integrate this state, a final embodiment ritual can be performed, a practice that solidifies your identity as the portal itself, rather than as someone who is trying to use it. This ritual is not about setting intentions or asking for anything, but about stepping into a state of pure being where you fully recognize that there is nothing to seek, nothing to chase, and nothing outside of yourself. When this realization is anchored into your subconscious, manifestation ceases to be something you do. It becomes something that happens effortlessly as a reflection of your state of existence. Reality is no longer a process of effort and desire, but an unbroken sequence of synchronicity, clarity, and limitless creation.